Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. It's Monday morning. I know I released a video a few days ago, but it's December, and luckily for me right now, it's a little slower at work, so I thought I'd do another video. And in this case, it's going to be a video response video, which I loved the idea so much, I have to do it. And this is a video response for Peter B., who is approaching 150 videos. Now, at the time he made his video in which he showed his face for the very first time, which is awesome, he was approaching 150 videos or 150 subscribers, but he's actually getting closer to 200. So good for him. In watching Peter B's videos, he's got a really vast collection. He seems to have a lot of cards from a lot of different sets, pre-war, vintage. Looks like he has some regional stuff. I'd like to see him do a video where he just basically goes over what his card collection entails, just because it looks to be pretty extensive. And my favorite thing about Peter, he's a really nice guy. He tends to watch my videos a lot. He likes to, and he replies. He does a better job of that than I do. So he is definitely owed this video response because he's just a fun guy, and he's got some great cards. He's got a good looking collection, and he's got a good video response going. So what he did, what he is asking for, is to show off cards from the year we were born. Now, naturally, because we're doing that, that means I'm going to have to show off my age. I'm a little older than some of you guys out there. So I'm going to I'm not going to turn the camera around, but I'm going to show you what I've got here right now. All right, so Peter B has asked us to show cards from the year we were born. He had a really great idea. What he did was he showed cards of the Boston Red Sox starting lineup the day he was born. I was born, though, unfortunately, during the off season. I was born in late January 1965. So I'm actually going to show you I'm going to do a little what Peter did and then just add a twist. I'm going to show the Dodgers starting lineup from opening day, April 12th, 1965. That would have been the first Dodger game I was alive for. And I'm going to follow it up with some other cards of other players. So I'm going to do this in batting lineup order. Batting first and playing shortstop was Maury Wills. Now, Maury Wills didn't have a Topps card, an official Topps card, until 1967. So what you're seeing here is his 1962 Bell brand card, which is a regional card that they had out here. They sold potato chips in Southern California. And I have also learned from talking to other collectors that Bell brand made cards for the Los Angeles Rams and even the Los Angeles Lakers in their early years in LA. Batting second that day and playing first base, Gold Glove extraordinaire, Wes Parker, 5-time Gold Glove winner. He went 1 for 3 that day, and he happened to score a run. Batting second, you might remember him from appearing on the Brady Bunch. Batting third, another Hollywood movie star. I think he has an appearance in Mr. Ed. Willie Davis, the 3-Dog. He went 3 for 3 that day and hit the 1 home run of the game. And that's Willie Davis, also a great center fielder. Batting fourth, 2-time batting champion, Tommy Davis. No, they're not related. Willie and Tommy are not related. But Tommy Davis, that season, early in the 1965 season, he suffered a major injury, and he was out for the rest of the year, I believe. So that's Tommy Davis. Batting fifth and playing catcher, John Roseboro. Roseboro took over for Roy Campanella and stuck around with the Dodgers for a good 8 or 9 years. Had a couple of All-Star years. That's John Roseboro. Batting sixth, and that day was playing second base. Way down here, lower left-hand corner, Jimmy Lefevre. Lefevre would play around 7 or 8 years for the Dodgers before he headed off to Japan. Later came back as a coach for the Dodgers. I think he also ended up becoming the manager of the Seattle Mariners at one point. So this is the 1965 Topps Jim Lefevre. Batting 7th. That day he played right field. That was Ron Fairly. An extraordinarily long career. Dodgers, Expos, I think Angels. He also later became an Angels color commentator. Ron Fairly. He was eventually traded to Montreal in the deal that brought Maury Wills back to Los Angeles. It also brought Manny Mota to Los Angeles. Okay, playing third base, the newly acquired John Kennedy, who came over from the Washington Senators with Claude Osteen in a deal that sent Frank Howard to Washington. John Kennedy. I think the first card of his I owned was the 1973 Topps card, and back then he played for the Red Sox. And starting pitcher, batting 9th, Hall of Famer Don Drysdale. Had Don do that day, pitched a complete game, gave up 2 runs, one run, gave up 1 run, struck out 9. So a good day for Don Drysdale. And he batted 9th that day. And for those of you who are wondering how he did hitting, he went 1 for 4, 2 RBIs, and he scored a run. Don was an all-around good athlete, so he had a good day, and so did the Dodgers as they beat the Mets 6-1 that day. So that was the Dodger lineup. I want to do something a little different, add a little bit of a twist, and I want to talk about other players that played in 1965 at Dodger Stadium. So we're going to start off on April 18th, 1965. That's when our good friend Sandy Koufax made his first start of the season against the Phillies. What did he do that day? He struck out seven hitters and pitched a complete game as the Dodgers beat the Phillies 6-2. And that's one of my favorite Koufax cards, but a lot of you know I say that about all my Koufax cards. So that is Sandy Koufax. On April 29th, the San Francisco Giants came to town, and the Dodgers played the Giants. It was a 2-1 game. Juan Marshall versus Don Drysdale. Our friend Willie Mays went 0 for 4 that day. That's okay. He still had a great season in 1965. And this is one of my favorite cards from the 1965 set. That's Willie Mays. All right, who's next? All right, on June 22nd, the Houston Colt 45, actually the newly named Houston Astros, came to town. Joe Morgan, along with Sonny Jackson. Joe Morgan came into town with the Astros. Dodgers won 3-2, but that day Joe Morgan had 1 double and he scored a run. Now, this is a Series 1 card, so Morgan still has his Colt 45 hat on. But I believe when we get to Series 2 or Series 3, we start seeing the artwork showing up, drawing out the 45s, because at that point I think the cards say Houston. They don't say Astros. Yeah, up here it just says Houston. So that's Joe Morgan. Another debut that year. On May 30th, the Cincinnati Reds came to town. Dodgers beat the Reds 12-5. And Tony Perez played in his first game, going 0 for 4. So that's Tony Perez. Another guy who had a card in 1965 but wouldn't make his Dodger Stadium debut till 1967, June 22nd, 1967, is Steve Carlton with the St. Louis Cardinals. Carlton pitched 15 games in 1965, 9 games in 1966, but really finally made it in 1967, pitching 30 games. And as I mentioned, he pitched a complete game that day, striking out 8. The Dodgers lost to the Cardinals that day, 7-2. So there is Steve Carlton. All right, now the next two players came to Dodger Stadium, and but they didn't come to play the Dodgers. They came to play the Los Angeles Angels. So that year, on September 4th, 1965, Jim Catfish Hunter came to play the... by then, they were called the California Angels. The Angels changed their... I just learned this. The Angels had been called Los Angeles Angels the first 4 years, but the last month of the 1965 season, the Angels already knew they were going to move to Anaheim. They were going to call themselves the California Angels. So the last month of that 65 season, they changed their name to California Angels. So Jim Hunter came that day, threw 6 1/3 innings, gave up 4 runs, did strike out 7, but the Angels beat the Kansas City Athletics 4-1. So that is Jim Hunter. And the last guy, technically, he made his debut at Dodger Stadium in 1963 at a World Series game. That was Mickey Mantle. In Game 3, the Dodgers beat the Yankees 1-0. Mantle went 1 for 4. That was a Don Drysdale, Jim Bouton matchup. But in Game 4, Mickey Mantle hit a home run off Sandy Koufax. And that was the last game of the World Series. The Dodgers beat the Yankees that day 2-1. But just some other info. He also made his debut against the Angels June 11th, 1965. The Yankees beat the Angels 6-4. So as I mentioned, the Angels, the first 4 years, played at Dodger Stadium. And that year, and that day, he struck out twice, both against George Burnett in the first inning and the third inning. But that is Mickey Mantle. Mickey seems to end a lot of my videos. I have very few Mickey Mantle cards, but that's the 1965 Mickey Mantle. All right, if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for hanging out. Congrats, Peter B, on your 150 videos and all the subs. This was a great idea. I loved doing this. So we'll talk to you all next time.
It's a beautiful day for